All right, we're back with another Cool Tools show and tell. Today we've got Mike Warren. Mike is a design engineer. He's an educator. He's a troublemaker. He's Mikeosaurus on Instructables. Mike, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, hi Donald. Thanks for having me. My cool tool today is modified truss screws, and this might sound a little boring, but for anybody who's tried to screw two pieces of wood together and either the bit cams out of the back of the screw or the screw kind of wobbles or you're just too lazy to drill a pilot hole, these screws are kind of cool, and I hope you can see this. They've actually got a cutting head on the top of the screw, which is pretty cool. And then the other little added benefit is each one of these boxes comes with a bit, and it looks like a normal Phillips head bit, but they've machined it in such a way that it like fits into these absolutely perfectly. So no matter what direction you're coming at the piece of wood from, it's always going to stick. And they flatten the top. I've got this is a normal Phillips head on this side, and this is the modified truss screw. And I hope you can see that on my screen, but yeah. They're actually a little flatter at the top, and that helps it to stay in the back of the screw. So they don't cam out. They've got a drilling head in the top, so these sink in pretty deep and then bite really hard. And the last thing I like about them is they've got a button top, so when you screw it into a piece of wood, it actually sits relatively flush. You don't have to have a countersink to get them to sink nice and deep. Now, these are good screws for a lot of the work that I do, which are quick and dirty prototypes. You obviously wouldn't want to use this for a finished screw. It's just a little bit too bulky for that. But I think for knocking up really, really quick prototypes for stuff, or if you just you're building something else and need a quick frame or something else like that, instead of having two screwdrivers, one for drilling and one for screwing, I find that these modified truss screws actually work pretty well for prototyping.
Cool. And what kind of materials are you're using that with? Just anything or plywood or? Yeah,
any type of wood. Plywood, it works great. Solid wood, it works great. Sheet metal, it will also cut through sheet metal too. If your drill is beefy enough to sustain some of that, the cutting head's pretty sharp, so it'll cut through that as well. But yeah, I'd say for mostly wood though, any type of wood would be fine.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that type of kind of cutting point on sheet metal screws before.
Right.
But I was at a hardware store recently looking for a good screw for plywood and asking for the recommendation, and they showed me something similar to that. I have a box of something maybe a little shorter than that. But you're right about that. The button head, the flatness of the button head is a nice, as opposed to like countersinking something and having like a drywall screw that goes kind of into it. That button head really does a good job pulling the material together.
And it really depends on the type of work you do, right? There's some times where you're going to need a countersink. There's other times where you're going to need to put a pilot hole if the wood's, particularly hard, like if you're trying to go through oak or something like that, then maybe a different screw is needed. But any plywood, softwood or anything like that, if you're knocking up a quick frame or something, speed's not always a big factor, but maybe you don't always want to have a second tool with you and you just want to get the job done super quick. So I've had a lot of success with these screws, and I keep a pack in my toolkit just ready to go. And yeah, I think for a lot of applications, they sell them in different sizes. So this is 1 5/8, but I've got 1 1/4. I've got 1 inch as well. So they get down pretty short as well. So they don't always have to be big, beefy ones like this, which is nice.
All right, Mike, you've got a few books out too. Talk to me about your books.
Yeah, I've got 2 books that came out this year. I've got Dude Crafts, which is sort of a bad idea meets maker meets mad science workshop. So you've got pranks, you've got useful life hacks, you've got gag sort of makery stuff. Really good for sort of the armchair maker or someone who's got a sense of humor, or a Father's Day gift if you want to find something that's kind of good, either bathroom reading or light reading. It's a fun kind of maker book. And on the serious side of things, I've got Cut in Half. I've got a YouTube channel called Cut in Half where I use an industrial water jet to cut vacuum cleaners and toasters and waffle irons and telephones and stuff in half. And I've translated that into a large format picture book. So it's got a little bit of write-up about what we're cutting in half, how the machine works, and then gorgeous 10 by 10 glossy photos of everyday things cut in half.
Yeah, that's a great book. My 10-year-old is obsessed with that book. That's got a permanent place on our coffee table. All right, and where can
Perfect.
people find out more about you, Mike?
People can find about me on Instructables. I'm Mikeosaurus on Instructables. You can find me on the internet, michaelsaurus.com. I'm all over there. If you search for Glow Table, Head in a Jar Prank, Flamethrower Skateboard, you'll find me.
Perfect. All right. Thanks for talking to me today, Mike.
All right, Donald. Have a good day.
You too.